Hi, I'm Christine. Welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I'm here with the beginning of the year book tag. So it's now towards the end of January, but I just saw a few friends do this video recently, and so I wanted to join in on the fun as well. I saw Jess from Peace Love Books, Tori from Novel Life, and then Zay from Woody Reads. So they are the three friends that I recently saw do this video, and I was like, this looks like a lot of fun. I love doing tag videos. Let me jump in on this as well while it is still January. It's still the new / beginning of the new year. All right, so I have pulled up the questions. I think there's 18. Let me see. Yes, 18 questions to answer for this. I'm going to put all the questions down in the description of the video as well, so that if you want to do this video, all the questions are there. If you want to just answer them in the comments as well, I would love to know your answers to some of these questions too. So let's get into it. So question number 1 is, how many books are you planning to read in 2025? So I use Goodreads, and I set my Goodreads challenge to 350 books for the year. So for the past 6 years since I've been tracking my reading, I have read anywhere from 300 books all the way to like 620 books. So a big range in there, but every year I read hundreds of books a year. So I feel like the 350 is just kind of like a nice, neat number. I was going to do like the 365, but I decided to just keep it at 350. Just like numbers I know I will hit. It's not really a challenge for me. It's just a way to track my reading for the year, and that's a number that I know I will hit, which last year I had read 420 something books, and so that was a slower year for myself with some work projects I've taken on recently, so I know that like 350 is a number I can definitely hit. Which if you ever do want to follow along and see all like live updates of all of my reads. So I always post all the books that I'm reading. When I finish them, I review every book I read, so you can get to my Goodreads. It's always linked in the description below as well if you want to be friends over there as well. So question number 2 is a book that you're likely to reread this year. So I'm actually currently in a reread right now. I'm a co-host for the Hathaways Read Along. So this is the Hathaways, the historical romance series by Lisa Kleypas that I am co-hosting with a bunch of BookTube friends. And so we are reading a book a month. And so we're currently in the middle of the Hathaways series. This entire series is a reread for me. So those books I am rereading. Our February book, which will be our next one that we're having, is Seduce Me at Sunrise by Lisa Kleypas. This is book 2 in the Hathaway series, one of my favorite historical romance family series. So if you want to join us and have some fun as well, the live shows are so much fun just to chat about Lisa Kleypas books, the Hathaways in general, but also just talk about all things historical romance. I love it so much. We did the Wallflowers series in 2024, and we decided to continue on. So we're doing the Hathaway series for the first half of 2025. Then we're going to continue on to the Ravenels series by Lisa Kleypas as well, which all of these are going to be rereads for me, and I love them so much. Other than that, I'm not sure that I plan to reread any books specifically. I mean, I do love to reread books, reread favorites. I always usually do that every few months anyways, and so I'm sure there's going to be others in the year, but I don't think any are actually planned, like as far as this read along is happening right now, so stay tuned. Question number 3 is a priority read on your 2025 TBR. Honestly, all my book club reads. So I am a co-host for the Historical Hellions, which is a historical romance book club. We read historical romances published before the year 2000. I'm a co-host along with Jess from Peace Love Books and Samantha from Books with Samantha. All of those will be obviously priority reads. We read a historical romance every month. I'm also a co-host with Tori from Novel Life. So we have our Leave It to the Prose book club, which is a historical fiction book club. So we have a book a month. We read historical fiction. So all of those will obviously be on my TBR this year as well, which other than that, I'm not too sure. Like honestly, all the books, I want to get to them all the time. So any book I put on my TBR, any of my monthly TBRs, my KU TBR videos, all of those like I want to get to all the time. So I'm just going to keep it for the book club books for this answer, because I know there is one coming up as well for like anticipated 2025 releases. So I'll talk more about some releases in that one. So question number 4 is an author you won't be reading more books from this year. So this one I was trying to think of ahead of time, and it's kind of hard because I feel like I don't purposefully have like a list or anything of that. It's just kind of authors that maybe I've tried a few books for and they don't work for me, and so those ones I've probably like set to the side, but like honestly they've left my mind after that. So I'm trying to think just on the spot and like see if I can see any books around here that are authors that I don't want to try anymore. I know for sure actually Julie Soto, not that I have anything against her or her books, they just don't work for me. Both of her books out currently I've given 3 stars to, so her books they just don't work for me. Oh, Tara DeWitt as well, her books, I've given all of her books 3 stars to as well. So another author that just, I don't have anything like personally against them or their writing, and I know people who love their books, they just don't hit for me, and I don't want to continue to give books like 3 stars like if I realize that author is not for me. Oh, Rebecca Yarros is actually one as well. Nothing against her. I love the success that she's gotten, and I love how many fantasy readers she has brought into the genre. I love the hype that people have for her books. Her books just don't hit for me. So I had read Fourth Wing. I had an arc of it back before it came out, and that one, it was fine. Like it was just okay for me. me, and so I wasn't as pulled in. So I never continued on in the series. Like, I'm not going to continue on and hate read it just to hate read it. So I had also read quite a few of her contemporaries as well, and so those don't work for me either. And so, you know, I just don't need to read her books because I don't want to like purposely read a book just to hate on it. So I don't need to read her books, and plenty of people read her books, so she's not going to be missing out on me as a reader. And I think that's about it that I'm like purposely not going to pick up books from, just because they, like I said, I know that their books aren't going to work for me. And like, if I know I've only given them ever 2 stars, like why would I continue to do that to them or to myself? So those 3 authors specifically. Otherwise, there's probably other ones that I have talked about as well, like during wrap-ups, which I can't remember them right now, so I'm sure there are other authors, but that's usually the case. Like, I will give an author 3 tries usually, try 3 of their books, at least 3 books, to see if they work for me or not, and if they don't, I just, you know, move on, because there's plenty of other books out there for me to get to, and they have plenty of other readers who love their books. So they're not going to be missing out as me as a single, like, reader reading their books, so they don't need me to keep reading them, and I don't need to either, so those are the ones I can think of. All right, question number 5 is something new you want to read, new genres, new tropes. So this one's kind of hard as well, because I read, honestly, any trope I will pick up and read. And then new genres, that one's kind of hard as well, because I do pick up a lot of other genres every month in my reading anyways. And so maybe just getting back to reading maybe more of those. So like some sci-fi and fantasy, that's just like just fantasy and no romance, as well as just historical fiction. Like, I've made that a priority in the last few years anyways. So none of those are going to be new to me, but I do want to include like more of those in my monthly, yearly reading. So I guess those. Question number 6 is a popular book you want to read. So I am currently in the middle of reading, finally, the Boys of Toman series by Chloe Walsh. And so I have read the first 2 books. So I read Binding 13, Keeping 13, and I have to go on to Saving 6, Redeeming 6. Could have those in the wrong order, but those 2 I want to read this year. I plan to as well, since those are the next 2 that I have to read in that series. And so those ones I know are hugely popular and have been on my TBR for a couple years now, because I know so many people love that series 2 pieces. And so I'm having a good time reading the series and want to continue on. Question number 7 is most anticipated 2025 book release. So I had a video up, I think, with like 20 of my 5-star predictions / most anticipated releases for 2025. So I'm going to put that video down below, because some of these I'm going to talk about are from that video as well. But let's see, just off the top of my head, there is Comeback by Rebecca Jinshak. That one actually comes out at the end of January. It's the next arc that I'm going to be reading, so that one is like fresh on my mind. She also recently put the cover up for Spotlight, the 4th book in this series, and so that one is going to be on my highly anticipated TBR as well. That one comes out in the summer, and I love her sports romances so much. All 4 of her releases last year, I gave them 5 stars, so these 2 are like highly anticipated for me, and I know they're going to hit. There's also Unloved by Peyton Corinne. Again, this is another arc that I already have, and it comes out at the beginning of February, so I'm going to be reading that actually this coming weekend, so I'm excited for that one. And then just a couple others. There is Broken Exile by Catherine Cowles. Very excited for that one, that it's going to be book 4 in her Sparrow Falls series. Small town romantic suspense. Love the entire series. I love her books. They really work for me. Atmosphere by Taylor Jenkins Reid. This one is going to be 1980s, and it's following a woman in the space program. Very, very excited for this one. I have read all of her books and love them to pieces. So I'm very excited for this new one. I think it comes out June or July. And then 2 others just because I can, and why not make it like a simple 5. So then the next 2 are Crescent Kingdom by Tessa Hale. I am so excited for this book. This is going to be paranormal, wolf shifters, and I believe Why Choose? I believe that's all this author writes, and I am totally here for it. I have read now, I think 2 or 3 series by this author and love them all to pieces, and this is a book that a character was introduced in a recent series, and as soon as that character came on the map, came on the board, came onto the page, I was like, I hope they get a book. And then when the series was kind of teased or announced at the end of that series, I was so excited. So I'm so excited for this one. Wolf Shifters is one of my favorite paranormal things to read, so I am very excited for that one. It comes out, I think, June, July, possibly in the summer. And then The Lost Story of Ava Fuentes by Chanel Clayton. This is a historical fiction author that I recently read in 2024. I read all of her historical fictions because I loved them that much, and so this is her new release. It comes out in July, and I am so stinking excited for it. If you love historical fiction, definitely pick up her books. They are so good, and I'm so mad, sad, disappointed with myself for waiting for so long to get to her books, because they were on my TBR for years, and so this one as well in July. So I think that was 5, possibly 6, but I'm excited for all of those. So question number 8 is a bookish goal for for 2025. Honestly, just kind of keeping doing the same things I'm already doing. So posting here on YouTube and posting on Instagram and just keeping up with those. I love making content for both those different platforms. I love doing like photos and things like that on Instagram and graphics. And then I really love making videos as well and being able to connect and chat with people a little more freely than you can in like a text post on Instagram. So just kind of keeping up with both of those. Another one is just like the types of reading that I want to do. So in January, I have done this a lot, just kind of finally getting to books that have been on my TBR that I was just kind of putting off. Just get to those, like get to them already, see if you love it. If not, move on. Also just kind of mood reading. I've always been a mood reader and will usually give myself like a TBR for the month, but then I have the entire month to kind of figure out my mood and the time to pick those books up, but just kind of fully going into mood reading. Like if I hear about a book, see a book on Libby that I want to grab, just grabbing it and reading it, like who cares? It's just like read anything that I want all the time. I also started doing like less arcs in the end of 2024. So I have some that I already had like signed up for previously in months prior that are finally coming in. So I do have those still to get to. And there's obviously going to be authors that I absolutely adore and love that I am on their arc teams or I get their arcs. And so those ones are priorities that I'm excited for. But otherwise just kind of like taking a step back from arcs, just like not making those as much of a priority. So probably that as well. Another goal that I want to do this year is just find some other historical romance authors that I have not read, so new to me authors that I can just gush and obsess over and love and binge all of their books. I need to find some more like new to me historical romance authors. I have read so many over the years, and so I'm looking for those ones, those like kind of hidden gems, just some like new to me historical romance authors that I can like obsess over and all of those things. So if you have any to recommend me, definitely let me know because I want to read some new to me historical romance authors this year. Question number 9 is a book that's been on your TBR that you probably won't ever read. Ooh, this one's tricky and hard. I'm trying to like look around my bookshelves and see if there's any on my shelves that I like just have and I know I'm not going to get to. Ooh, so actually I do have one. So Nightfall by Penelope Douglas. This is actually book 4 in their Devil Knight series, which I had read years ago. I have read, I think, all of their books actually. And this is the only one that I haven't read. I never continued on and finished the series out. And so this one, it's been on my TBR since I think it came out, 2020. It's been on my TBR since then. I was going to get to it, but then I just never did. And so many years have passed now, and some of their books more recently haven't really hit for me. So maybe I'm just not in that kind of reading mood anymore. So that book, honestly, I'll probably never get to. And I didn't hear the greatest things either when it came out. So like that didn't make me super excited. So probably that one. My reading tastes have changed over the years. And that one, it's like still on my TBR. I have a book of it on my shelves, but like I'll probably never actually get to it. Question number 10 is a series you want to read this year. So I already talked about the Boys of Tommen series that I plan to read this year. What other series do I want to read? Oh, I actually do want to read. I think it's like fantasy, maybe paranormal romance, but it is the Kingdom of Crows series by Olivia Wildenstein. I think there are 3, maybe 5 books in the series. I know I have 3 like special edition copies for the first 3 books in the series, I should say. And so that is a series that I actually want to read because I read a paranormal kind of angel romance series she did last year and I really enjoyed that trilogy. And so I want to read more from her. So that is a series that I definitely plan to get to this year, which book 1 is House of Beating Wings. And like I said, this is the Kingdom of Crows series. I've heard good things. So hopefully I enjoy it as much as I did the other series I read from her. That's the only one I can think of. I love to read series and binge series. So usually if I start a series and I enjoy the first book, I will usually just binge the rest of the series if the books are out. So I usually keep up with series. So I don't think there's any others that like I want to actively read this year that I haven't before. So I think that's it. Question number 11 is your auto-buy authors going into 2025. Let's see, I think I've already talked about some of their books. So Catherine Cowles, Rebecca Jinshak, Sarah J. Maas. She doesn't have a new book coming out this year, but she is an auto-buy author for me. There is Kennedy Ryan, Beverly Jenkins. If she had a new release, I would immediately read it. I've read all of her historical romances, and so I'm just waiting, hoping she's going to do another historical. Time will tell. I don't think she has any releases upcoming, but like auto-buy author for sure. Lisa Kleypas, if she ever put anything out again, she is an auto-buy author for me. Lana Ferguson is an auto-buy author for me. I have loved her books in the past 2 years, and I think she has at least 1 book coming out this coming summer, Overruled. Excited for that one, so she is an auto-buy author for me as well. Question number 12 is a book to show adaptation you're excited about this year. So one thing about me, I love to read, but I also love to watch TV shows and movies. That is something I've always done for years, and so I'm a huge like movie TV watcher person. So I'm very excited about a bunch of them. So I actually made a list because I knew I wasn't going to remember them all, but I love watching shows. So let me pull it up. So there is going to be an adaptation of the classic Frankenstein, which I love classics so much. Actually, I should have said that in the other like question that asked about genres I want to read more of this year. Well, it said new, but like I've always been a classic reader, and so I want to though read some more classics that I haven't gotten to. So that is another genre that I want to kind of dip more into this year. So this is the classic Frankenstein, and of course this is going to be a remake of the Mary Shelley Gothic classic that I'm very excited for. So this one's going to be directed by Guillermo del Toro, which I love some of the things he does with movies, and then the cast in here, it sounds really great as well. So we have Mia Goth, Christoph Waltz, Oscar Isaac, and Jacob Elordi. So I'm very excited for all of those things, and I cannot wait for that one. I think it's supposed to come out on Netflix at the end of the year. So filming has already wrapped in the fall of 2024, and it is set to premiere in Netflix in 2025. So in the fall, possibly. Also, I know Emily Henry, I think all of her books have actually been picked up, or her recent romance releases, I should say. All of those have like, they're in development, in production. So the first one that's kind of likely to happen in 2025 is People We Meet on Vacation, which this is one that I actually love. This was, I think, her second one, like after Beach Read. This was her next like adult kind of contemporary romance one. So I love this one, Friends, Lovers Setup. I think there's already casting for this one as well, and so I'm excited for it, even if it doesn't come out in 2025. I cannot wait for honestly all of her adaptations. Then there is also this one. So I have never read the books, but this one is My Life with the Walter Boys. And listen, I didn't expect much from this one going into it. I think it's more like YA, new adult-ish, but I actually ended up binging the entire like first season this past year. It had been out for a couple of years. I just recently binged it. I think I was like sick a weekend and I ended up binging it. So it's kind of a little bit of a fever dream, but I remember having a good time with it, and it was just like so like cute and fun. So basically this girl, I think her family was wealthy or rich, and like her parents have like a freak accident, pass away. And so she ends up going to live with, I think, her mom's best friend slash old college roommate and her entire family. And so they have 9 sons, I think, all the Walter boys. And so she ends up living with them, and it has like some romantic elements to it. And it was just like honestly so fun and cute. It's like set on a ranch kind of in Colorado, I think. I really enjoyed it. Like I said, I also like just binged it when I was sick, so not like the best thing in the world, the show, but like I had a good time, and I think the second season is supposed to land in 2025, so I'll probably watch that as well. There's also The Midnight Library by Matt Haig. This is a book that I read years ago when it came out and really enjoyed it, and it hit so well for me, and so it's actually being made into a movie as well. And I think, let's see, I know Kristen Wiig was cast in it, and I don't know who else, but I'm excited. It might come in 2025, might not, but it's on my like watch list. Ooh, another one that actually comes out this spring is Mickey 17, starring Robert Pattinson, and it is directed by the same director who did Parasite, which I really enjoyed years ago, and so I am very excited. It also had like Toni Collette and Mark Ruffalo, and honestly just the names attached to it, the director, and the story of it all, I'm very excited for. I've never read the book, but I am so into like sci-fi, futuristic, kind of fantasy type things, and so this one looks and sounds and like it's gonna be amazing. So I'm very excited for that one. An obvious one that I actually forgot about is Wicked for Good, which is the second part of Wicked, which is coming out in November of this year. And of course that is based on Wicked, the book, which I have never read and don't really plan to read. It sounds a little wild times, but I'm here for the movie. That was one of my favorite movies of last year. Love what they did with the musical adaptation of that. And so I'm very excited for part 2, which comes out this fall. Another one that is on my radar, but probably won't come out this year, but it is in pre-production, is The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo by Taylor Jenkins Reid. So I have read all of her books and I love them so much. I have watched Daisy Jones and the Six, which I really loved, and I think they did one of her like contemporary romances as well. Didn't love that one. Daisy Jones and the Six was it though, and so I'm hoping Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo gets the same treatment, and I think it would be a really good TV show, so I'm excited for that, which is basically like a mashup but a fictional like Hollywood legend, this actress who was married 7 times, and so it recounts her life, her career. It's basically giving like Elizabeth Taylor, Marilyn Monroe vibes, that kind of like toxic messiness in Hollywood with relationships, and so it is the actress kind of recounting her life. All right, and then another one that I have on my radar as well is the Murderbot Diaries, and this one is based off of a book series of novellas from Martha Wells. So this is sci-fi robots. I have not read the series, but it is on my TBR. My husband has been telling me to read it for years because of things that I love, and so I'll probably read it actually before this comes out. But it's going to be starring Alexander Skarsgård. It's going to be for Apple TV, which I love some of the shows they've been doing recently. So let's see, this says a book series that follows a sentient security android that calls itself Murderbot, must mask its ability for free thought whilst completing dangerous assignments, and is simultaneously drawn to humans and appalled at their weaknesses. So this is an adaptation that will be yet another science fiction tale for Apple TV, which has recently found a niche with this kind of futuristic project. Think Silo and Severance. Loved what they did with both of those shows, so I'm very excited for this one as well. Like I said, sci-fi fantasy is one of the things that first got me into reading and watching, so I love anything kind of set around that. So I think those are all the show movies that I'm looking forward to that are adaptations from books. Like I said, I love watching TV shows, movies. I like to keep up on all of those things. So I'm excited for all of those. Let me know actually if you ever want me to like talk about favorite like TV shows and movies, maybe like my favorites or like 5-star videos. It could just be like a favorites video and like talk about movies and TV shows too. Let me know if you're interested, or if you're like, Christy, just stick to books. Let me know. Question number 13 is a sequel you're anticipating. So some of the ones that I already mentioned, the new releases that I'm looking forward to this year are part of series. So I'll go with something new that I didn't talk about then. So we'll do Caught Up by Nevessa Allen. I loved Lights Out this past year, and I'm very excited for a book 2 from her, like Masked Men, kind of dark, but like more kind of witty, fun dark, I feel like. I'm excited for this next one from her. It's coming out, I think, May, June, July, sometime in the summer. Question number 14 is bookish things you're leaving behind in 2024. Honestly, just kind of like forcing myself to get to books that are on my TBR. If I'm no longer interested in them, like just let them go and move on. Also, like I already mentioned, the whole like arc reading thing and trying to stay up on new releases. It's kind of like a hard one for me because I love a bunch of new releases and get really excited for them, but then also like I don't need to get to them as well. I can also just like mood read and read backlist reads and just like anything else I'm excited for. So kind of that kind of vibe of thinking I have to read new releases and arc reads. I don't need to sign up for them and do that. So kind of leave that behind, possibly. We'll see. Also, the being pulled in to the pre-order Barnes & Noble sale that they have every year, every few months. Need to stop doing that. Like personally myself, I need to stop doing that. I do not need to pre-order all of these books because a lot of the times last year I didn't end up loving a lot of them. So then I had these physical books coming in. So do what I used to do, which was wait and buy the books and have shelves of books that I love instead of pre-ordering books that I'm not like certain about. So I need to stop and not be tempted with the pre-order sale. So I need to do that. So question number 15 is what to expect from this account. So kind of like all of this, talking about book releases, talking about book club reads. I read contemporary romances. I read historical romances. I love historical romances. I talk about and read historical fiction, just kind of like all the books. I love to read books. I love to chat about books. So kind of just me gushing about books, doing new videos where I do wrap-ups and give you book recs. That's what you can expect from me. So question number 16, I like this one. So this is, how has your reading taste evolved from last year? Which I think I kind of touched on that a little bit with like the Penelope Douglas thing. Just some of these authors that maybe I read a few years ago and they have new releases and some of their books just don't work for me anymore. So kind of like bully romances, dark romances, I feel like I've gotten really picky about those, or the ones that I've read recently just haven't hit the same. So kind of just like genres like that, I feel like have changed. I feel like small town and cowboy western romances, while I love those so much, a lot of them are just kind of, they feel like filler slash are just kind of like fluffiness, which I have realized I don't always love, which I mean, I think I already knew that about myself, but I'm realizing it even more. Like I really need an emotional connection with characters, and I like getting like deeper with these characters, like getting emotional growth, character growth. I really like that aspect to stories that kind of comes into like fantasy romance and romantasy. A lot of those that are just like spice for spice. I don't need that. I don't want that. I don't like that. I want like character growth and more of that like romantic connection between the characters. So kind of just, those are things I've realized that I don't really need or care for. Like I need to stick to other books that I love. So then question number 17 is booktube creators who inspire you. So honestly, some of the people that I've already talked about. So Jess from Peace Love Books, Tori from Novel Life, love their stuff so much. I watch every single one of their videos. And then Samantha from Books with Samantha, I absolutely love watching her vlogs and all of her rec videos. She is one that I always watch as well. And so many other creators, which I'm probably forgetting about, but I do watch your videos, comment most of the time. Sometimes I forget, but you know how it is. And so honestly, like everybody, and anybody who's taken the time to get in front of a camera, film, and then edit it and put it up, like all of you inspire me. So yeah, everybody honestly who's on booktube. And then the last one, question number 18, is something you want to say to anyone wanting to start a bookish account. Honestly, just do it. Like I know we have probably all said that in our videos, but it's honestly so true. Like just do it. Just start posting things because it is so much fun. It has brought me such joy, so many amazing friends and book besties who I absolutely adore and talk to on the daily. Like so many people in my life because of this book world that I have jumped into. I wish I would have started sooner. I had thought about it for quite some time and I just didn't do it. So that thing, I wish I would have started it sooner. So like as soon as you think about it, honestly, if you have a camera, a phone, any of those things, you can just start immediately and start just doing the the dang thing. I started mine in May of 2022. Like I said, I had thought about it for maybe like a year, 6 months before that. I had thought about doing it and just didn't. And so I'm so glad that I finally did. So I'm like, what, 2.5 years going into the 3rd year on BookTube, and I'm so glad to be here. I love being able to connect with people in a different way that you can on like a Goodreads or an Instagram. Like that's just text. So I feel like a video format is just such a fun way to connect. And like you're gonna find your people or people who love books that you love, and you'll find viewers and watchers. Like I know I have that conversation with some people who are like, oh, nobody's gonna want to watch my videos or hear my thoughts on books. Everybody talks about those books, or nobody reads the subgenre that I do. Honestly, not true. Like so many people, you're gonna find your little niche of readers and groups, or even if you talk about books that everybody talks about, like your take is gonna be different. So like you're bringing something new. So I don't know. Everybody who wants to do it should just do it if you're able to. It's honestly so much fun, and like I just wish I would have started sooner. So start as soon as you like are serious about it. All right, so that's all that I have for today. Like I said, I'm going to leave all of the questions in the description. So if you want to do this video or answer in the comments, definitely do that. If you'd rather leave me a emoji in the comments today to let me know that you watched this video, leave me like the TV emoji, since we are watching all the things. And so if you haven't done so yet, make sure to like and subscribe so you don't miss out on any of my future videos, and I'll see you in my next one. Bye!